G'day guys, and welcome to 2026. It is Superlights time, SL2 if you like. We're here in Australia, sunny down under at Albert Park in Melbourne. And it is Toby Davis and Alex Foulkes talking to you for the first time in a while in Superlights. And I'm very excited to be saying that, Alex, considering we've been doing Formula Sprint 2 for the last couple of years.
Yeah, we're not going to gloss over the fact that you just said good day at the start of this broadcast. We're not going to do that. I feel like it's a bit culturally insensitive. No?
It is a good day though, right? I mean, it's an exciting start to a new season. In our second tier at GPVWC, we are blessed with good standard of drivers. We're blessed with quality camera operating. You can't say it for sure, but on paper, we know how thin paper is, but on paper, it should be a little bit better. But yeah, I'm very excited, and it should be good. We have got a lot to talk about, so we started the broadcast just a little bit earlier than you might be normally used to. It's practice right now. Qualifying starts in 13 minutes or so. And yeah, there's some new teams that have come up. We've talked about them a little bit in the preseason tests, but have you got anyone that you've got your eye on, really, Alex?
No, absolutely no one that's catching my eye particularly, because at the start of a new season, people have improved or maybe changed over the season break. You know, Alex Lahou, for example, last year, or the year before, I think it was, where he was in FS1, and then he's come to Superlights and then won the title. So it could go absolutely anywhere this season, Toby. But Sandeep Singh, coming from FS2, his Drivers' Championship second in practice currently, looks solid. The Optimal lineup at the front as well looks solid. James Knox, who was top in preseason testing, looks incredibly fast and incredibly competitive this season in that Fusion Racing car. Personally, I think this is a very competitive grid. A lot of very well-known names in the community, a couple of new ones as well. But mostly this is going to be a very competitive year. There's no way to call it at this point. As we both know, it can go absolutely any way. 16 races ahead of us, and 48 laps of action ahead of us as well.
I think personally, I'm excited about especially Hyperion, who have come up from Formula Sprint 1, because they have Pavel Andrzejewski and Mateusz Majka. Majka was the Formula Sprint 1 champion. Pavel finished P2 in the championship. They were driving for Multiforce last season, but of course, Multiforce themselves have pulled out. So we now have these two in Hyperion. So Hyperion, the team, perhaps didn't do quite so well, but definitely having them here is boosted the grid's quality, I would say. We've also got Zoltschuk and Istvan Shingle have come down from. They drove mostly for Stacks last year in Super League. They're here now for in Superlights, and so they certainly have come here to compete. Let's see how those two get on. They're both driving for TTF. And we also have, some returning drivers as well to keep an eye on to Superlights. Pascal Polentz, down from Super League historically. Francisco Gobbi as well, a race winner a couple of seasons ago in Superlights, is driving for Stacks, who have come down from Super League, and he is normally quite quick.
Yeah, like I said, a very, very, very competitive grid. Big names, and hopefully some better driving standards, like you mentioned in your introduction, compared to what we know and love. Or, well, love is maybe a difficult word to use in that situation, but yeah, better driving standards, much more. Well, I can't even say it'll be much more exciting racing, because obviously the cars are different. They handle differently. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, I think there's a lot of good teams here. We don't know what's going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen. But a lot of good teams, Apex GP, KV86, all established names now. Kings Racing as well, we haven't talked about much, but Scott Mitchell-Mann and Luke Mitchell, obviously, both very good drivers as well, coming from Formula Sprint 1 last season, I believe. Were they there? Yes. They're in a blue livery this season.
Yep.
Quite simple, but elegant, I would call. And I think
I
as
like
well,
it.
The livery game this season is incredible across all the teams, I think.
Well, do you know what? One of the reasons for that, especially a special thanks to Alex specifically for this, is that there's a new model for Superlights and Super League. If you missed it, this is it. It is kind of as close as you can get to a legal Formula One car, and it's nice to see that people have got so creative and experimental, I guess, with the liveries. To be fair, Kings is a reasonable example of how much detail has gone in. I know Zedric Designs, that's Doug Hilliard, has put some time and effort into making that a really detailed livery. The Stacks liveries always look nice. The Netrex livery is equally got that detail to it. So people, I think, have spent a bit more time putting the designs together for this season, and I really appreciate the work and the effort that's gone into it. And you can really see that, and you'll see that throughout the season, where it's definitely an opportunity to look at what people can do creatively. Is really nice. So yeah. Menno's just sent me an updated spotter guide, because we were expecting the PZZW team to be filled with Falkenhayn and David Krupa, but Pablo Serrano is actually in that squad, and I believe Krupa is doing some engineering basically for that squad. So keep an eye out for Serrano, see how he gets on. But we'll have a look at the times. Obviously we're in practice right now, and there's a few minutes left before the session ends. There's a team we haven't mentioned, which is Optiminal. Aaron Vasquez, I believe currently, or at least recently, has been the highest rated driver, iRating wise, on iRacing. What an unbelievable shout that what an unbelievable stat that is for someone in GPVWC to have, and he's obviously driving in Superlights for Optiminal, and clearly right up at the top. Look.
Yeah, and you'd expect him to be with such a high level of skill in iRacing. It's not a particularly easy simulator, iRacing, I feel. Especially compared to R Factor 2, which I hate to say it, but it's kind of dumbed down compared to iRacing, at least. And I think it shows that talent is transferable no matter where you go, and in different series as well. So, yeah. Well, he's held it, so I can't really say anything. Yeah, Aaron is a talent to look out for. Here's Jan Dragoon as well. Another good talent in the Optiminal car. So, yeah, it feels it feels like we're going to have a difficult season for a lot of drivers.
I mean, the car definitely is got less grip compared to previous seasons. The tyres are thinner. This is all to follow the F1 regs, and we saw what a chaotic race. I don't know if everyone's watched it, but the Australian race in F1 was pretty wild. I should mention, if you're new to Superlights and Super League, we try to follow the Formula 1 regs where appropriate. Sometimes we deviate a little bit. So the model is accurate. The actual physics of the car are pretty close. We have got we've tried as best we can to sort of mimic that. What we haven't done is given it a 50-50 engine and battery split, because it's not fun. This is definitely there's a battery element this year, which we don't have the graphic for just yet, but I believe Ramco's working on it. But there is a battery to recharge and deploy as you see fit, but it's nowhere near as aggressive as F1, and it's probably more like 15-20. I don't know the exact number, I should probably know this off, but it's something like 20% of the power comes from the battery and the rest comes from the engine. It gets recharged, but it can be deployed where you like, and it's much less sensitive than in F1. You will find people using it different places and draining it quicker than others. You can drain it in one lap, but you can also get away with not draining it at all. It's only a couple of seconds slower rather than 7. So it is I believe, a better formula. This is what F1 should really be. The other thing to mention is that whilst we do have the DRS still kind of working as it was from previous seasons, we don't have the active aero open whenever. You still have to be within touching distance of the car in front to be able to activate DRS. Obviously, they're in practice, and the same goes for in qualifying. You can use it on whenever you like, but during those DRS activation zones. But the detection is no longer a second; it's now 0.7 seconds. So you will see less of a DRS train, which I think will make a big difference to the racing this season.
Yeah, I think those two are my biggest issues with the current F1 regulations. Is sure, it makes the racing more interesting, and I think that was something that we picked up on in the actual F1 Grand Prix. But all it ended up doing was creating sort of pseudo DRS trains. They weren't actual DRS trains, but it was essentially the same with a battery rechargement, where you just pass each other lap after lap after lap. And it was a bit of a seesaw, especially between Leclerc and George Russell. And I found some people think that's a great idea. I don't personally like it. And again, with DRS, I think that's one of the elements that F1 should have retained in their regulations. I don't think that the active aero is a particularly great idea. I mean, it's necessary for how they've implemented the power units, but for us, I think it's more important to keep the DRS element and keep a bit of excitement in terms of the delta and the distances between the drivers, and you sort of have to play that into consideration rather than just pressing a button and going past.
I honestly, liked watching the race. I didn't like the racing in F1, so I am glad we've kind of stayed away from it. You know, it's all very well and good having a show, but it's definitely not it's definitely not proper racing, is it? It's more about the show these days, I think. So so yeah, it's good that we've got a balance between following it realistically, and also having it a bit more like a bit more like a hardcore race than even F1 is. It's nice to have. We'll see how it plays out, of course. I think there will be some interesting deployment of battery and battery strategies going on today. We'll try to note that when we see it. It's obviously, we don't have the graphics showing when people are deploying. And there will be definitely will be a couple of different strategy options available tyres-wise as well. So we'll keep an eye on that as it happens too. Something to note, look how tight the grid is. First down to 15th, which is Gobby, who's no slouch, is half a second. Batush Micah currently sitting atop the timesheets. Aaron Vasquez P2. So yeah, it's going to be very, very close. There's no everyone's got the same car today. One thing GPVWC does well in Superlights and Super League is the development system. You can upgrade your car throughout the year, but for the first round specifically, all the cars are equal. So this is kind of, you know, you are where you are right now. If you're slower, if you're a little bit further down the grid, that is because your setup isn't as good, or perhaps you're not quite as talented as the top drivers. So it's a pretty good indicator, isn't it, for where we might see drivers end up at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think the first race is going to be difficult. It always is in a set of new regulations. Some drivers are going to have a lot more practice than others, but nobody has got practice in a race environment, and nobody's got, you know, the understanding of how this is going to work during the race. Mm-hmm. So it's a test more than anything for the drivers. Of course, qualifying will still be normal. Qualifying still in private sessions, still the same as always. But after that, it's a bit of an unknown. And I think qualifying will be important, but it's going to come down to who has thought about the racing a bit more. Because obviously, there's a bit of strategy involved now, a bit more than there used to be, as Federico Russo puts himself into the barriers at the end of practice, almost ready to go into qualifying.
We are. It's getting very, very close. The checker flag has flown. We are very excited about who will be on top. Matusz Micah set that lap a few laps ago, didn't he, now? But has managed to hold on to that top position. But let's see what happens as we head into qualifying. It's definitely it's anyone's guess as to how that will shape up. Obviously, you've got to put the lap together in the pressure situation. So, which qualifying most certainly is. Let's see. I'm excited. I hope you are too.
Yep, and that goes to both the viewers and myself, obviously. We didn't mention at the start, but Fabian is here with us again for this season, tolerating us as he did in FS2 for 16 rounds. This time you don't get a break in the middle either. That's unfortunate for you.
Poor Fabian. Do we get a break? I don't know if we do.
No, we don't, but I suppose that makes it even worse, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Well, we do have warm-up to talk nonsense, and that will continue from, you know, where we left off in FS2. It was usually nonsense, but that's okay. It's not like it's not unusual for you guys to tune in and hear us waffle about absolute nonsense, but I'm looking forward to doing so. As we wait for the session to move over, I'm going to ask you, who do you think will be on pole in qualifying? And see what you think, Alex.
I'm going to roll the dice, and I'm going to say Matusz Micah is going to be on pole. You know, very, very controversial opinion here.
Fair.
Well, I'd like to see Patrick and Magnussen on pole. I think that would be interesting.
Look at the names though in that top 10. There's a lot of people there who could definitely take pole position. I mean, we haven't even talked about Sandeep Singh.
The top 10 is within 4 tenths of one another.
Literally,
so it's going to go anywhere.
Singh and Smith driving for Netrex, of course. Jose Soriano has been moved up to Super League within that group, but Singh and Smith, both very, very quality drivers, and Sandeep was FS2 champion last season. Previously, has won races and nearly won the championship in SL2 when Alex Lahou won it in 2024. So keep an eye out for Sandeep. He's definitely good enough to compete. But my vote is Aaron Vasquez. I think he is an unbelievable talent, and I think we'll see him right up there.
Well, the next 15 minutes will decide who is right. For all we know, someone from the absolute bottom of the practice table could take pole position.
Yeah, Andrzejewski. I mean, he's definitely someone who could be there.
Anyway, here we go then for the first proper round of racing, the first proper event qualifying here at Albert Park. Toby, we've talking. That's not a word, is it?
Talking
about our predictions. But let's see if they will come true. Our outlaps in private sessions. Everyone's got their own little worlds to do their lap in. No traffic, no slipstream.
Pure racing, I guess.
Yeah, pure. Well, no racing, is there?
Pure
talent.
skill, pure talent,
Pace.
driving ability.
Who can push the limits more?
Well, here's Federico Russo driving for Santon Motorsports, which was formerly Alpha Delta. Yeah, so that's now run by Jan Santon. That is a mouthful. Lovely livery. Jan is a very talented graphic designer, and Russo and Nakini teammates there. Keep an eye out for those guys. They are in a lovely looking car, and they have a point to prove, I think, a little bit, considering where they sort of were last season. We were talking about them on the podcast. They may struggle this season a little bit. Let's see if they can prove us all wrong. The car deserves to be up near the front of the field, doesn't it? It's a really nice looking livery. One of my favourites, actually, Alex.
Yeah, I would say the same about the KV86 car. I wish that looked a bit better than it does on track, but I think the colour's a bit wrong. But here's Federico Russo then through the first sector, and that's going to be, I would assume, a lap invalidated. That was all 4 tyres off the black bit of tarmac that's supposed to stay on in between the white lines. So maybe it will count. It hasn't invalidated the sector according to that bottom.
It does, yeah, but it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't really necessarily do that immediately, unfortunately. But it might still count. It's the game calculates even if you've run off the track whether or not you've gained an advantage from it. So let's see if he might have just done a little lift or something. But some nice screen time for Russo as he comes around his first lap. But everyone is on the lap at the same time right now. And I can tell you that Oliver Taras set a purple first sector out of everyone and a very good middle sector as well. So Taras looks like he might be able to be the top driver for this first run, as everyone will cross the line pretty much at the same time. And the times will come flying in. Here they come. So Taras indeed does set the fastest time out of most of the drivers. 19.4 as well. Him and Lahtinen look teammates for Apex, right up there, setting those times. Russo's lap did indeed count. Luke Mitchell is still in the pits, but everyone else setting or has set a lap. Yeah, let's see whether Taras can hold on to that. But that pretty much matches what Micah did in practice.
Yeah, I think it was a slight bit faster as well, but we are already a little bit quicker than we were last year. Here's Giuseppe Saracino for Team Shiba through the penultimate corner. He's not too far behind in the first 2 sectors from 28th. Let's see where he can put himself in amongst the laps set as he crosses the line. It is a 119.9, putting him up into 12th, so 5 tenths off of Oliver Taras at the top. His Jolt Shooks for TTF as well coming through the final sector. Not the greatest first and second sectors, so let's see where he can put that TTF car, which is going into the pit lane, so that's where it's going to end up. With
not happy with that lap, is he? So
No.
the Hungarian will go again. You can exit as soon as you cross the pit entry line. It is a benefit to be in Super League, at least, to be a better team, because you have a pit box at the end of the pit lane, so you can get slightly more laps in or slightly less time in the pit lane during qualifying, because you don't have to trundle down on the limiter. Here is the King's car of Scott Mitchell-Marm, who is, I assume, returning to the pit lane, having done his first flying lap and being P20 and 9 tenths off. But Scott is, we know Scott from his YouTube exploits and so forth, and with the race. He's been busy all winter, I'd imagine. Nice to see him, and his brother Luke Mitchell, Scott taking his wife's name as well. It's those two definitely midfield runners. Let's see if one of them can squeak into that top 15. Should mention, historically in GPVWC as well, the top 15 start on the tyre they qualified on. It's a rule to kind of balance out the field, I suppose. But this season you don't have to do that. You do have to run that tyre, though, during the race. So if you qualify on softs, which pretty much everyone is doing, you don't have to start on it, but you do have to run that tyre during the race. Whereas if you're 16th and below, you can start on and finish on and use any tyre you like, as long as you use 2 different compounds. It's complex. We'll keep you up to date with that. But everyone on softs, as I suspect will be the case for most of the season. But if you're in the top 15, you have to run that tyre. Here's Taras starting a lap. Let's follow on board then, Alex.
Yeah, through the first couple of corners in that Apex GP car, taking all of the exit out of turn 1 all the way onto that AstroTurf as we fly down this straight into turn 3, not taking all the space there to get a better exit into turn 4, and then through this flat right-hander into the wall and across the sector line. It's still an improvement for Oliver Taras on the Delta, so clearly not too much of a detriment to him now through the second sector, which is really just one corner, and this flat-out section up towards the very quick left-right chicane as we enter sector 3. Taras down 4 tenths in sector 2, but I think he is backing off a little bit here.
For sure. Jorge Martinez has set a purple middle sector, which would be, it's only fractions quicker, but this would be an improvement, I believe, if he can put the final sector together as well. It's so tight, but the Brain driver, previously of Spark in Super League, crosses the line now and improves to P2, only less than half a tenth off pole. As Matusz Majka takes pole now, Lahtinen, Taras' teammate, P2. It's so tight at the top. But Majka does set that lap time, 0.408. I know from Matusz, there was the Hyperion drivers joining part of the THR group for this season. I know he's done a 0.2 in practice. Let's see if he can put that together in the actual session. It is possible to go a couple of tenths faster than this, so it's not all over as we speak. But Taras did indeed box and comes back out. Singh P5 as well. It's so tight at the top, but Vasquez, who was my favourite, so far not put the lap together.
Yeah, and here's Giuseppe Saracino matching that fastest sector 2, but look at his delta in sector 1, only 6 thousandths down on the best time set. So from 16th, he's actually looking to get a very competitive lap here through the final corner and towards the line. I think he's going to make an improvement up to 12th, not as much as I thought it was going to be, but look at the gap. Less than a second separate all the field at this rate, all the way from 1st to 25th. Scott Mitchell-Marm 0.964 away, all the way down to Robin Moiling in 26th, 0.988. Here's Patrick Magnussen, who was yet to set a lap, purple in sector 1, and only minorly down in Sector 2 as he crosses the line. Not yet set a lap. The DRS swings wide open, and as he crosses the line, it's only good enough for 13th as nothing changes. Oh no, I think Jorge Martinez is actually gone up to 4th in the meantime.
The Luke Mitchell, by the way, has a back of the grid penalty, which is why he hasn't yet to set a lap time. Yeah, Robin Merling in P28 is so it's down to 28th is within a second. How crazy is that? Only Peter Knapp for Stacks in 29th is outside of that. Purple sector, first sector for Aaron Vasquez, then comes through the second sector, also purple. So is this the lap then for Aaron, the Spaniard? Can he usurp Micah for that pole position? It's certainly well within his talent. He's done 2 very good sectors so far. Let's see if he can keep it clean through the final couple of corners. A little twitchy on entry, had to have a couple of goes at it as he comes into the penultimate corner. Hooks up the apex nicely. Now it's all about progressively applying the throttle through the final corner. He gets a good exit, shooting himself towards the line. Can he take pole position? Just by 9 thousandths of a second, he pips Micah. Sets a 19.4 flat. Here comes Oliver Taras, though, responding. We know that Apex car is quick. Can he improve his lap time? He's purple through the middle sector, down a little bit in the first. It actually wasn't a personal best. And he does!
Whoa.
He goes to the top of the timesheets with a .352. The first driver to dip below a .4 that we've seen so far. So, great lap from Taras in the end.
Yeah, and he's managed to hook that up in that final sector. Mostly Aaron Vasquez has a lot of margin to improve still in that final sector. But here's Aaron's teammate Jan Dragoon, purple in the first sector, not too bad in the second sector, and not too bad through that chicane. 4 more corners for him, and he'll see if he can improve his lap time as he navigates the 4th into the 3rd and into the penultimate corner. And it looks fairly clean for the Optimal car, a little wide there, compromising the entry here, but let's see what he can do as he opens the DRS onto the straight and barrels towards the line. Can he improve from 8th position? Yes, he can. Into 4th.
I've got my eye on Micah. Here comes Mateusz Micah. Sorry, Alex, but he has set a purple sector by a 10th in that first sector. He is very, very close in the middle sector. Green personal best as well. So can the Hyperion driver? Oh, he's a bit wise. He's given up. Micah was on a flyer, but he must have made a mistake that we didn't quite catch, and he's not going to improve. He's Lewis Mesa for Brahim GP then. The times are coming in thick and fast. There's only 3 minutes left in the session, but here comes Mesa, crosses the line, P8 for the Brahim driver. I'm just looking, Harry Smith has done 2 green sectors as well, but he's on an outlap now. He must have quit that one. Is there anyone else on a lap right now? I don't believe so. Everyone's waiting for that final run, aren't they, Alex? That was some action just before the final crescendo.
In 24th, Maxime's on a lap for Fusion Racing. He is currently 24th and less than a second off first position, which is an absolutely insane statement to make.
Yes.
And I don't think he'll be improving with that touch of the gravel as he, strays wide of the curb.
It's easily done, unfortunately. It's a very, very fast couple of corners, and you have to be really precise and hook up those apexes nicely and not take too much curb, or you run the risk of running wide like he just did.
As we see Aaron Vasquez finishing his outlap, getting on to what will be his final lap of the session. Tidy through turns 1 and 2, opens the DRS, barreling towards turn 3, braking fairly nicely, clips the apex there. And I think this could be the run for Aaron. It has to be the run for Aaron if he wants to take pole position. As we head towards the Sector 1 line, what will it be? It will be a massive improvement for Aaron. 27.375 in that first sector. and more than a 10th improvement on his previous best time. So this is looking very good for Aaron here. Through Sector 2, he's lost much of that improvement he's made, but he still has a couple more corners to go to try and make it work if he wants this pole position. Of course, he still has to wait for everyone else to do their laps, but for Aaron, let's see what he can do as he enters the final couple of corners through the third to last corner, through the penultimate corner, clips the apex nicely there, and will go to finish this lap as he heads onto the main straight DRS Open towards the line. Can he take pole position?
No!
No, he can't.
6 thousandths of a second separates the top two. Not quite good enough for Vasquez. It was so close. Here comes Harry Smith, who has set 2 very good sector times. He could do something here, but crosses the line. Still only P8 for Smith. It's so tight. Look, less than 2/10 for the top 10 pretty much. Well, the top 9 certainly. Sandeep Singh set a purple first sector. Coming through that middle sector now. There's still a couple of drivers out on laps. Mike has set a yellow, so not a personal best first sector, but it's still competitive. Here comes Singh then. He set a green middle sector, just about a 10th off right now as he comes towards the final part of the lap. Into the right-hander at the end of the back straight he goes. Gets the exit curb nicely, not too much onto there, because you can unsettle the car. Comes through to the penultimate corner now, hooks the apex up nicely. This is looking good for Singh. Can he improve from his 6th place and move up the pack just that little bit? As the red lights are on, the session will be over for everyone on their lap. P6 it remains. He did improve his time, but not by enough. Jesse Lahtinen is P5. Matish Micah is going to complete this lap. Lahtinen did a purple. Micah takes pole from nowhere. And look how tight those sector splits were. This is what I mean. It's so tight. Lahtinen P5 then, but Micah pips Taras to pole. Here comes Hanko. Hanko is still capable of improving for green stripes, but there's not many more people on a lap right now. Hanko crosses the line, P16 for him. Magnussen, I think, will not improve on his. Yeah, I think it's all over. Magnussen crosses the line, wasn't going to improve anyway, decides to crash into the wall. But yeah, it's all over, I think. And I don't think Lahtinen made it to the line on time, did he?
I don't think he made it on time to make another lap.
No. Either way, it's yeah, he's backed out of that. So what a lap from Matusz Micah right at the death, and sneaks the pole position away from Oliver Taras. But what a session! Look how tight it is.
See, Toby, I was right. You know, you should just listen to me sometimes. Anyway,
you can do the results.
Yeah, Matusz Micah does take pole in qualifying, just slightly ahead of Oliver Taras. Aaron Vasquez will take 3rd and Jan Dragoon 4th. Jesse Lahtinen 5th, within a 10th of 1st. Sandeep Singh 6th. Jorge Martinez was 7th. Harry Smith 8th. Luis Mesa in 9th. And Michael Falkenhayn managed to take 10th position. The top 9 within 2 tenths of one another. There we go. James Knox will be starting in 11th, followed by Giuseppe Saracino in 12th. Patrick Magnussen in 13th with Paul
Andrzejewski.
Andrzejewski, that's a difficult one, isn't it? In 14th.
You just have to practice it.
Shooks, 15th. Patrick Hanko 16th. Pascal Polenz, OKB86 in 17th. Fabrizio Gobbi in 18th for Stacks, Lorenzo De Coitis in 19th, and Scott Mitchell-Marm from the first of the Kings Racing in 20th. 21st then is Pablo Serrano, with 22nd being Victor B. 23rd is Federico Russo with Maxime Beaulieu behind him 24th. Mirko Lucchini in 25th. Daniel Scott 26th. Peter Knapp 27th. Istvan Shingle 28th. Robin Moiling 29th. Luke Mitchell with his back of the grid penalty is 30th. And that's all she wrote, Toby, as we move into our favourite session.
But she wrote a good one though, didn't she?
Oh, very, very good.
That was a good session. That was a strong opening to Superlights this season. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that very much. We will have a little chit chat through warm up, but first I want you guys to stay in touch and watch us throughout 2026. And there's a lot of commentary to be had, and a lot of fun to be had as well. So make sure you guys do tune in.
Inside a place of... On the next pretzels. Kelty seat, the coffee beanery, Tyrek.
Flat out. Oh no! Oh no! Who's round? It's Magnussen.
Oh, it's going to be a touch moment. It's in the barrier. Oh, they spun. Oh, there's some carnage.
And Menocon's
Oh
gonna
my
win! It's a double pass! Could they take each other off? They don't! And Black slide! It's a victory for the Tuties! They touch! They're now... Oh no!
Soriano's gone around and met the wall. Mitchell will go through.
As they go uphill into turn 4. Oh, and round the outside. What a fabulous move.
Frelick will use all of his as well. Here he comes. He makes a move. They touch. They run wide. And Munio's going to get it.
We're going 3-wide. Look at
Tyne. Contact. Oh, my goodness. Tyne has lost a wheel.
Time's out.
The dramatic race that we were teeing up the entire time has come to an end.
There were definitely some dramatic moments over the last couple of seasons. Those were just a few, and we expect to see quite a few more, not just in Superlights, but across the GPVWC career ladder. There are 4 career ladder series: Formula Sprint 2, Formula Sprint 1, Superlights, and Super League. Super League starts on Thursday. That is our top tier championship. Make sure you guys tune in to watch. Ross McIntyre and Caitlin Penny will be your commentators on Thursday. But tonight we are here for Superlights. And Alex, we normally waffle during this session. There was quite a lot of action to actually watch, and I'm keen to see how the race will play out. It's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, we're not used to this, frankly. It's not what we're used to, coming from FS2. So, yeah, I think we're going to have to be a bit more serious in the form.
Well, I mean, you say that.
No.
Did you actually watch the FS2 and FS1 rounds the other night?
Do I really even need to tell you the answers to that question?
I don't know, you might have done.
I skimmed FS2.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there was a lot of incidents in FS2. I was interested to watch
grass is green.
I was. I will say there was also quite a few in FS1 as well. Notably, a lot of drivers seemed quite rusty. They were losing it with the DRS open, whilst in dirty air, especially on that curved back straight. So I'll be interested to see if a similar thing might occur in these 2 championships, in Superlights and Super League, because when you open that DRS, you do get a balance shift towards the front. We'll watch it. Well, you would be able to watch it come open here, but yeah, there's a balance shift towards the front, and you end up with a bit of oversteer just sort of randomly during the straight. So it's important to be aware of that, I guess. But in the heat of the moment, it's so easy to just lose control of the car. So let's see if that is a factor today. There is another point to raise as well. It's obviously a 48-lap race, not quite as long as Super League will be on Thursday.
Super League?
Super League. But it is still a long race, and there's you have to pit. We will have to change tyres. There's a couple of different strategy options available. Whether people go sort of soft, hard, medium, soft, medium is, I believe, possible. There's also a one-stop available for those starting towards the back. I think the hard to medium strategy is viable, but quite difficult. So you would have to go quite slowly to do so. So it'd be interesting to see what people do. I expect a 2-stop, and there is also a possibility for a 3-stop with a super aggressive kind of 2 soft stints as well. But then there's a lot of overtaking to do. Let's see what people do. But most interestingly, what people will start on, if you've qualified in the top sort of 4 or 5, you might be tempted to start on softs and try and build a gap. But it means you're coming into the pits earlier and potentially getting held up by those who stay out. So a lot to think about, Alex.
Yeah, and well, let's see who's done their testing. I think is the more important point to make here is who's done their testing of their race simulations and what tires last how long and how they're gonna play out their strategy, because it may be for Micah, and I'm not saying this is a specific example, because I'm sure he probably has done his race testing, but he might qualify first and then have absolutely no idea what he's going to do in terms of strategy and might get it all wrong. It could make or break the session. So yeah, I think strategy is going to be one of the most important parts of this 48 lap race, nearly 50 I'll round up because it is basically 50 with the formation lap. Because you do wear your tyres on the formation lap if you're not careful.
Yeah, and fuel is a thing as well. You know, people will slightly underfuel if you're predicting that you're going to be in some traffic. But we have seen in previous seasons where people run out of fuel towards the end of the race, especially if the track grips up, which it does in R Factor 2. You get rubber laid down, and as that gets laid down, the grip goes up, you go faster, you're on throttle more often or for longer. And if you're on throttle for longer, you're going to use more fuel, and it's not always factored in. So, but of course, every litre you carry, you're going to cost yourself lap time. So it's a balance, isn't it? And this is all things that we haven't had to talk about for a couple of years, because you just fill up and go in Formula Sprint 2. 2 sprint races there, just the one tonight, and so it's important to get through that first lap as well.
I would be lying if I don't think people have run out of fuel in FS2 though. I did it in Academy a few years ago. I think it was the round 1 in Turkey I ran out of fuel in race 2. The setups reset if you don't pick the default setup. And we went into race 2. I thought, I'll just use my setup from race 1, thinking it was still there. No, it wasn't.
Ouch. That's not good. Yeah, Academy, by the way, for those who are wondering, is our sort of non-championship tier. It's below Formula Sprint 2, but it uses the same cars, and it's sign up and drive. There's no championship involved, but you can come along on a Monday and have some fun. The last round was a few days ago. Yesterday. Academy, and it's held between the sort of the 2 tiers of racing, the sprint series and the full race series, if you like, on the Monday in between. And it is, if you're new to GPVWC, please do come along and join us. We have a new shiny website that we're still working on. The Discord is very active, not just from the racing point of view, but with off-topic stuff as well. And it's a lot of fun, GPVWC. It's been going since 2000, so there's a long history, and a lot of very, very talented drivers have competed in GPVWC as well over the years. Some fairly famous names that you might recognise, and it's that rich history means that we're still here, and we're still putting on a show for you guys. 45 seconds left in warm-up then, Alex. And then we head into the race session, and I don't know how these drivers are feeling, but I'm feeling very excited about it. I can only imagine how they're all feeling.
I would imagine more stressed than we are excited. Obviously. I saw this question earlier pop up in the YouTube chat, and I've thought about it myself. Is it weird to commentate on something you've created? I mean, look at all these cars. I'm looking at hours of my work on track. Isn't that weird?
Surely you're proud of it, though.
It's alright. I could do better.
I mean, to be fair, you hadn't set eyes on a Formula 1 car as to what they actually would look like. And genuinely, this has features from a bunch of different F1 cars that are on the grid this season. So a big hats off to you for that. I think it is a really good representation of what the cars look like.
That's because I had insider information, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I'm friends with many F1 designers, right? And
Adrian
they were
Newey
more
just
than
came
happy.
round for a wee bit.
Yes, yeah. Best friends with him, me.
Maybe that's why the Aston's so rubbish. Because he was too busy doing the Super League.
I reckon
model
this car would do better than the Aston.
Oh dear, poor Adrian.
Not his fault.
I don't feel sorry for him. He's a multi-millionaire.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh
He's
no.
wiping his tears with a £50 note.
As he tops up his bottle of champagne.
Yeah. But I feel like Newey's more of a whiskey kind of
Yeah,
fella.
I can see whiskey for sure. Yeah, whiskey in a fireplace and some slippers and a cat.
Yeah. Definitely.
Definitely. And a copy of the Times.
Oh, do they print those anymore?
Newspapers?
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a newspaper in years now.
It's how I buy them to protect my house from my daughter's arts and crafts. So they do definitely exist.
Right.
It's
Well,
about
you
what
know.
they're useful for.
Yeah.
For sure. I don't think I've read any words in a newspaper for a long, long time. It's all online anyway. It will be all online permanently in not very many years. I think there's a certain generation of people that still buy the newspaper, but yeah, they're of an age, shall we say? But yeah, it's time for the race session, and we will shortly be jumping over. I am very excited, and I think, by the way, the warm-up session did result in Aaron Vasquez taking the top spot as the checkered flag flies, and it's time for Superlights for the first time in 2026. Slightly longer than I expected pause, but the grid is filling up nicely, and it's about to be the formation lap, and I can't wait. Honestly, I'm on the edge of my seat. If you're watching on YouTube right now, do message in the live chat. Be very interested to hear your thoughts. A lot of people very late to the grid, trying to hide their tyre choice, I think. Which is going to be a factor this season, because the top 15 are starting on whatever tyre they choose. But this is the grid for today. Starting on pole is Mateusz Majka for Hyperion, with Oliver Taras alongside him on the front row for Apex. The optimal pairing of Aaron Vasquez and Jan Dragoon take third and fourth. Fifth is Yasser Lardinen, and Sandeep Singh is alongside for Netrex. Brahim GP and Netrex GP then follow with Jorge Martinez and Harry Smith. Row 5 is Luis Mesa for Brahim and James Knox for Fusion sneaking into the top 10, with Giuseppe Saracino and Patrick Magnussen 11th and 12th. Row 7 is Paweł Andrzejewski and Schultz, with Patrick Hanko and Pascal Palent behind them. In 15th and 16th places, Palent's the first driver who can choose whatever tyre he likes throughout the race. Fabrizio Gobbi and Lorenzo De Coitis, followed by Scott Mitchell-Marm and Mikhail Falkenhayn for PZZW, rounding out the top 20. 21st is Pablo Serrano with Victor Beer in 22nd, Federico Russo and Maxime Beaulieu for Fusion, 23rd and 24th place. 25th is Mirko Lucchini with Daniel Scott for Team Rookie Monsters in 26th, Peter Knapp for Stax and Istvan Shingle for TTF, 27th and 28th place. 29th is Robin Merling with Luke Mitchell, as we previously mentioned, rounding out the field due to a back of the grid penalty he still has to serve.
Insert witty comment about how it took you forever to do that, even though it didn't.
That was pretty rapid, that one. And in fact, the formation lap itself has been pretty rapid as the final few cars are coming through the last corner now. And Alex, I'm going to say it now. Who's going to win?
Luke Mitchell. No. Aaron Vasquez, I think, has got the race pace here to win this.
You know what? I agree. I think you could be 2 for 2 on predictions there, Alex.
I will be, obviously. We'll see in 48 laps time.
Oh. Anyway, here come the lights then. For the first time in 2026 in Superlights, it's Mateusz Majka on the right. It's Oliver Taras on the left. The optimal pairing behind on row 2. As the lights come on now. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Held for a long time, but away we go. Mateusz Majka getting a great launch, but Taras is fighting him down into turn 1. Taras trying to go up the inside, but not able to do so. Vasquez gets a great start. Around the outside he goes, and there's some cars flipping. It's Lewis Mesa. I think it's James Fox. Is it Fox? Fox. James Knox for Fusion. That is rolled as well. Both are immediately out, and Vasquez is still side by side then with Taras as they go through turn 3 and 4. And around the outside goes Vasquez and just about takes that position. Did he tag the wall there though? But a drama immediately at turn 1. Cars flipping over into the gravel, but it is indeed Majka who gets away with that one and leads us away on lap 1.
Yeah, and Majka already with 6 temps in the green? Why was I going to say blue? 6 temps in the green for the DRS range, which won't come into effect for a couple of laps now, but Vasquez up into second through that first corner, and that first corner has to be talked about, but here's Zolt Schuks battling away with Hanko, and through the 4th to last corner makes a very solid move to move himself up to 11th. On board now is Sandeep Singh as we head through the penultimate corner, looking to the rear of Jase Lahtinen into turn 1. Onto the straight we go, and no DRS this time around, but onto lap 2. It's already a very eventful first lap. Let's see just how far this will go. As further back, I think we saw 3 wide down the main straight, and in fact we did. There's Michael Falkenhayn in a sandwich of Victor B and Federico Russo, but he's got an issue with the engine. It looks like he's got a bit of smoke coming out.
Yeah, he's got a cooling issue. He might well have lost it, the engine entirely, because if you can run these cars very, very tight on cooling, and Falkenhayn, yeah, he's hampered, isn't he? He's trying to find some cool air and drops all the way to the back of the pack. He is struggling with that engine and is backing off, trying to cool it down. He knows that if he gets it too hot, that engine will blow, and Falkenhayn's race is almost over before it's begun. As a result of that, there was damage as well for Daniel Scott by the looks of things, and Petter Knapp as they both come into the pits. But Majka does have that 7/10 lead just over Vasquez, who's using some of that battery to try and sneak back up on him. But we should mention there's a bunch of drivers on a bunch of different tyres, and that will have had an effect. As there we go, medium tyres then for the top 5 drivers. Lahtinen has started on a set of hards. Schuks and Hanko have gone for soft, so medium's pretty common as Majka is being closed by Vasquez, but does set the fastest lap of the race. I presume immediately usurped by Vasquez, who's definitely closer and is within that DRS range. As you can see, his rear flap is open, and these two proving themselves initially to be the class of the field, with Taras 1.3 back.
Yeah, Vasquez immediately taking that best lap, 5 temps quicker than Majka on the last tour of the circuit, and I think he's going to carry that momentum, but he's entering the slipstream, entering the dirty air simultaneously. It's not much of a problem now as we head onto the main back straight and look at how he is closing onto the back of Mateusz Majka, and straight down the inside goes Aaron Vasquez. Majka pulls into the slipstream, but Vasquez being pulled along by the DRS does take first on the 3rd lap of this race, and Majka struggling in the dirty air through that fast chicane, still in the DRS range, and will stay in that range as long as he can. And I think what we're going to see is a bit of catapulting between these two drivers. Micah's going to fly past, then Vasquez is going to fly past. And I think this is going to go on until the next stop, but they have to be careful now to make sure that Oliver Taras and the drivers behind don't get involved in this fight as much as they can, as Micah ever so slightly got pushed outside of the DRS range. Vasquez with the fastest lap once more, 22.9, 0.2 faster than anyone else on the circuit right now.
And honestly, this was my prediction. I felt like he would compete very, very hard, and is immediately doing so. I'd like to see a replay of those start accidents when we can, but there's still battling going on. Scott Mitchell-Marm has moved himself up to P16 and battling away here. So there's a little bit of contact. I don't know if he squeezed the green stripes there. Who is that? Is that Victor B? Yeah. I don't know if he squeezed him or B understeered into him. I'd like to see that one again as well, because that was a very, very close battle between the two. But yeah, Mitchell-Marm moving up into P16, dropped a couple of tenths as a result of that contact. Here's the start then once again. So we're going to go with James Knox's viewpoint then, and as we literally watch the start again, James Knox then, what happened between him and what happened to James Knox at the start? Let's have a look, shall we?
Oh, he just outbroke himself. And what happened further back as well?
Well, let's go
on board and watch that again.
Yeah. Can we just see whether there was some contact with the driver on the right first before he went into Lewis Mesa? He's just outbraked himself. Yeah, he's just outbraked himself, and then gone left into. And that's what I mean about the rust. You know, these drivers are rusty after a winter off. This is Petter Knap, who also retired on the first lap.
He got sent across though here.
Already cooling issues for someone there, but yeah, Petter Knap then. Yeah. Oh dear, yeah. That's
a Team Rookie Monsters car.
Yeah, that must be Daniel Scott. Yeah, Daniel Scott entered the pit lane at the end of the first lap, so already cooling problems for Falkenhayn. Oh dear. Yeah, Scott's also just outbraked himself.
There.
Yeah, again, same thing, isn't it? And just went straight into the back. I mean, I would say. I don't think he helped himself, did Knap, by cutting across. This is Victor B then, we just saw with Scott Mitchell-Marm, and he's just bounced off the curb. Yeah, he's just bounced off the curb and into him, unfortunately, because Mitchell-Marm left him a car's width throughout the corner, and B just bounced off.
He was 5th now, 11th. Let's see.
We're about to find out then.
Down the inside,
he's trying to make a move.
Contact.
Oh dear.
Oh.
That looked quite late for that move, to be honest with you. That was against Taras, presumably, then, for P3 he was trying to fight. And it was difficult to tell from there. But we'll go back to live action, because we watched enough replays, and as you just saw, we missed the Dragoon, and Taras won. But Dragoon still will have plenty of time left in the race, and still will be hoping for a decent result. I'll tell you who else has quietly done quite well. We're watching his teammate, Harry Smith, but Sandeep Singh has picked his way through to P4, look.
Yeah, and he qualified 8th, so he's done quite well. Not 8th, he qualified 6th. I'd like to correct myself. But he's done quite well to get him into the position that he has. But as I predicted just a few laps ago, Toby, Micah has stuck with Vasquez, and I think we're going to see a bit of a slingshotting action between the front two drivers. Here's Jorge Marquinez in this sort of sandwich of the two Netrexes, himself and Yasser Lahtinen in between them. And I think this is where the main battle is going to be for presumably the rest of this race between Sandeep Singh, Lahtinen and Marquinez, and potentially the couple of drivers behind him for 4th position, as it seems the top 3 have sort of managed to make themselves a little bit of a cushion at the start of this race, and I think they've escaped the main bit of drama. Oliver Taras all on his own pretty much there.
Look at this, look at this, cooling issues.
It seems like a lot of people are running the cooling very, very, very tight
I think
on these cars.
Yeah, but the thing is that it makes such a big difference to top speed and overall lap time to run it fully open. But you can see Marquinhos backing out of the slipstream to cool his car down. If you run it too hot for too long, it will damage the engine, and although the engine life isn't carried through to future rounds per se, it is, but it's not like actually factored in. It's simulated behind the scenes in the actual sort of in the management system. Although it's not carried through, you do lose performance. The longer it's overheating for, you lose performance, and eventually the engine will blow up. So that's why Marquinhos is being so careful. And it's clear that these guys just haven't done enough laps with other cars in dirty air to be able to, practice that and work out where their engine life should be.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a struggle for a couple of people during this race, and I would expect for a couple of cars to start backing out of the slipstream, out of moves, just because of that heating element that they maybe haven't considered. As we're watching Pascal Plans at the edge of the points, just shy of Lorenzo De Coitis in that Shiba Racing car, as Lenz then in 14th crosses the line, and not much interesting going on there, but there's some smoke or some steam or whatever it may be for, I believe it was the Team Rookie Monsters car, or Luke Mitchell or Maxime Beaulieu. So this is going to be a theme, I think, of watching that steam or smoke or whatever you want to call it coming out of these cars as they struggle quite a bit with cooling here.
Yeah. I mean, Falkenheim was the key one, wasn't he? He's dropped to the back of the pack to make sure he finishes. Interesting, Luke Mitchell has made up 11 places from the start. Obviously, we've had some retirements, but is quietly sneaking his way into contention for points here. And he's on the back of that train that stretches to Gobby in 12th. Dragoon's kind of in the middle of nowhere right now. But yeah, it's interesting to keep an eye on that. And I think Micah and Vasquez might have sort of pre-planned this. I know they work together kind of behind the scenes. They're both part of the THR group. There are THR logos on the Hyperion and the Optiminal, as well as the Kings team as well. So those three all working part of the same sort of technical group. So Micah didn't make it difficult for Vasquez to take the lead, but I think he was happy to do so and then just sit in his DRS and let Vasquez's pace pull them away from Taras. They're both on the medium. All of them are on the mediums down to Lahtinen, who is on the hards. So Lahtinen will come back into play shortly as the crossover occurs. But yeah, medium tyres then for the leading pair. So they might end up going medium, hard, soft, which would be an interesting strategy option to take. But Micah, I think, playing a long game here.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Micah's using Vasquez to sort of pull himself along and pull himself away from Taras and the cars behind, and then as the pit stops start to happen, he has a bit of a buffer, a bit of a margin, and he doesn't have to worry about it as much. And it also means that he has more strategy options if he has a gap behind him to sort of play around with. And I think that's something that needs to be considered as well, is options for drivers. Because they might have come into this thinking, oh, we're going to do this, this and that. But what they might actually see in race conditions is that there may be a bit more tyre wear than they were expecting, or maybe that they're struggling with tyres at a certain range in the dirty air. So we could see a bit of dynamic strategy, a bit different to what they were expecting coming into the race. But I think, dragging yourself along with another driver is an easier way to sort of guarantee the strategy that you came into this thinking you would take.
Yeah, and the other factor that obviously the qualifying was very close, but you can see the track position is very, very important, actually, isn't it? P10 was, in amongst some chaos. Andrzejewski is a very talented driver himself, and P10 is miles off Micah right now. He's best part of 10 seconds away from the leading pair as he finally overtakes Zsolt Schuks then for P9 and moves himself up into the top 9 as a result, chasing down Saracino now, who is 2.1 seconds up the road, but part of a big train to Sandeep Singh. So if Pavel can get himself onto the back of that group, that could potentially help. There's a yellow flag in Sector 3 just then. Well, it's Shingle then, who has had some sort of drama through the high-speed chicane. Let's see what happened to the Hungarian then.
Yep, along the straight behind a Team Rookie Monsters car. I believe that will be.
Oh, it's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
It's the DRS. If you go on board, he's flicked out with the DRS open through this curved section of the track. I said this was a potential issue, and so it has transpired. And Shingle has come unstuck as a result, just flicking himself out of the dirty air. Picks up the clean air, and around it goes. And unfortunately for him, it didn't go all the way round immediately, so he lost quite a bit of time there.
Yeah, as we watch Harry Smith battling away with Saracino through the chicane, had the outside line, decided to back off, and I think that's rather smart considering how much longer we have in this race. 37 laps to go, and there's plenty of other opportunities, but he struggled through that corner and lost quite a bit of time. It's impressive how much small mistakes sort of add up in terms of delta here, and it shows just how much consistency is needed at the top here.
I think some of these drivers are struggling a little bit with their tyres now, because we're on lap 12. It's getting reasonably close to where certainly some drivers will be thinking about making that stop on those mediums. You can get a few more laps out of them for sure. A one stop is viable if you qualified outside of the top 15 and you don't have to use the softs. So Smith, not one of those drivers starting on the mediums, will presumably go either to another set of mediums or soft or hard. But he's going to pit and change tyres. but when that happens is the key, isn't it? And where you do that compared to your rivals, can you undercut them? Is it better to overcut them, stay out a little bit longer and avoid the traffic? Because there's a big pile of cars. The delta's around 20 seconds. There's a big pile of cars around Luke Mitchell, who's currently 20 seconds off the lead. From kind of Russo down to, I guess, Robin Merling. Patrick Hanko is round and into the boonies, as they say in Australia, as the two Kings cars go through. And Hanko trying to rejoin, but not into the path of other cars. And the Green Stripes driver has lost a lot of time.
Yeah, it seems like both the Green Stripes drivers not having the best of luck here, and it is with that is going to be the KV86 of Pascal Polenz, I believe. Yeah, the 13 car, and he's sort of lost it on his own there, hasn't he, Toby?
He tried to fight around the outside, didn't he? And he just ran a little bit too wide, got onto the grass, and it looped. Oh, and now his engine's very smoky. He was smoking as he came out of the gravel. I thought it was smoke. I thought it might be wheel spin, but he... how much throttle is he? He's in neutral. So maybe he's blown his engine as a result. It's entirely possible.
It's showing 1 on the...
But 0 RPM, so his engine's gone. Yep. Engine has gone.
So that's Hanko out.
Hanko is gone. He's pitted. I don't know what he's going to repair there, because I don't think you can repair the engine. But Hanko out then, and this is going to be a key factor this season, because cooling is a thing. It is so much more, excuse me, of a thing than it has been previously. If you run it not that tight, you lose so much performance straight line wise that you kind of have to run it quite close as Marquinhos hits the wall, and he's been cooling his car for most of the first stint. If you run it quite close, you get a much better top speed and much better lap time, but of course you suffer from this kind of problem. And as people will pit, they also have to bear in mind there's no airflow in the engine as well, so keep the engine revs low. It's going to be a factor.
Yeah, as Zolt Shooks becomes our first driver to enter the pit lane for an actual stop, presumably. So let's see what he changes onto. Patrick Magnussen as well came into the pits onto another set of mediums. So
well, Shooks was on
softs.
Shooks was on softs for the start, so he's gone onto mediums now. But Magnussen for sure. Well, I say for sure. Was he on? What tyres was he on? Let's have a talk amongst yourselves.
Possibly.
He was on me. He was on. No, he was on softs as well. Okay.
He was on softs, yeah.
Yes. So these two both on softs to start the race. So therefore, the lap 12, 13, 14 was the window for soft tyres. Sorry to cut over you, but yeah, they are now on mediums. Presumably, they're going to do around 20 laps on mediums, and then a soft run at the end.
And I think if you're outside of the points, that's possibly the best route to go for, is to go for pure pace, try and cut through the field, and maybe try and mitigate that extra sort of... Well, it won't be an extra stop, because we reckon that it's going to be a 2-stop regardless, because like you say, mediums will only take you 20 laps. I can't imagine hards taking you much more than that. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see, especially to see what Micah and Aaron Vasquez will try to go to. Maybe they'll extend and try to take the hards for 30 laps.
Well, no, they have to use the softs. This is the thing. So they have to, at some point, use those soft tyres that they didn't start on. So Vasquez and Micah, for sure, are 2-stopping from here. There's no way they'll take the softs to the end. Right?
That's an important thing to know, yeah. That they don't have to start on the same tyres, but they do have to use the same tyres. Right.
Yeah.
That throws a spanner into the works then, doesn't it?
Yeah. For example, Luke Mitchell and Scott Mitchell-Marm have both started on the mediums, but they can go to hards. I presume they're going to try and do this and one stop to the end, which definitely saves them. Obviously saves them a pit stop, and they're only a pit stop back from the lead right now. So yeah, obviously they pit one fewer time than the lead. Those one-stoppers could come into play if they choose to one-stop, of course, but it is certainly possible. Not likely, not easy, but possible. These two have been the class of the field, haven't they? They've pulled out that 2-second lead from Oliver Taras. It's 2.3-ish at a rate of around a tenth a lap, and it's been very impressive how they've done that from the start. Taras on his own. Singh is kind of almost on his own now, because he's actually still within. He's got Lahtinen still within DRS, and Lahtinen on the hards, remember. So Lahtinen could come back and potentially use that longer tyre life to run a little bit longer in this first stint. It's entirely possible he does so.
Yeah, and this is just about where the hards will start to have an overlap on those medium tyres, as they've started to bed in, and those medium tyres are starting to get a little worn out, as we mentioned earlier, of Harry Smith struggling on the medium tyres. So Lahtinen, I think this is the time that he needs to start trying to play his cards, trying to gain that time on Sandeep Singh, and I think that's exactly what he's trying to do now, as we cut to Marquinez just behind them, and potentially looking to take fourth here. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a game of cat and mouse as Saracino pulls into the pit lane. A game of cat and mouse in terms of who's going to pit first, who's going to go on what tyres. And that's just going to be how it is. Saracino moves onto another set of mediums just behind Dragoon pulling into the pit lane. And he's
Softs.
Going onto a set of softs, so that's going to be a 2-stop at least for Dragoon.
Oh, and
That's
Falconine's
Falconine
engine's
on
gone.
fire.
Yeah,
Definitely
and that's what
on that one.
Yeah, and that's because he did try to cool it down, but it was too late. He'd used up too much engine life. So here comes the first of the King's cars as well. That is Scott, I believe, in the with the yellow T-cam. As he exits the pit lane now. Let's have a quick look at exactly what happened to Falconine. Yeah, engine is just gonzoed. So unfortunately, that is what happens. If you run the cooling too tight, it will blow up eventually. But interesting to see what did Scott do then? What tyres is Scott Mitchell-Marm on? I want to know if he's doing a one-stop or if he's just playing it safe, gone back onto... No, he has gone hards. He has gone hard, so he's going to try. Will he get to the end? That's the question, isn't it? Will he get there? As we now see the leading pair in. So Vasquez and Micah in. Vasquez was so tight on the line there. These guys then, will they go another set of mediums and run the softs at the end? Or will they run the softs now? As Micah has gone to mediums. It looked very tight there between him and the apex of Taras, but out they come then. And I think I saw Vasquez on softs then, did I? Yes, I did. So Aaron Vasquez has come out of the pit lane on softs, mediums for Micah, so a different strategy for those two.
Yeah, Micah now has to try and keep these tyres going longer than Vasquez will keep those softs, but also try and keep within a reasonable range of Vasquez. So I think that's Vasquez's plan here, is to use these softs to sort of break away from Micah, and then in that final stint, he can just keep a solid bit of pace on those mediums and keep a decent gap. But it will be close in those dying stages with Vasquez on the mediums and Micah on the softs. We had a yellow in Sector 1 that seems to be staying for quite some time. But through this traffic now, this is Vasquez's opportunity to break away as is Zolt Shooks without a wheel in the wall out at turn 4. And that is truly unfortunate. As Sandeep Singh comes into the pit lane on a set of mediums. Let's see what he will leave on.
Yeah, that's it's going to be interesting to see what Singh does from here, as he started on those mediums. It looks like he's staying on mediums, so doing 2 mediums, finishing the race on soft, so matching Micah's strategy. Here is the stacks then, and that will be... Who will that be? I can't tell from what I'm looking at there, but it's... yeah, it's a mix of strategies, isn't there, going on here?
Yeah, and even different teams, as you can see there. That's Pascal Palen's on soft tyres, and I think Magnussen was on mediums. So it's differing based on the driver, it seems, as Mitchell in 15th currently on the soft medium tyres, Federico Russo on the medium tyres, Patrick Magnussen on the medium tyres. So for most people, it's looking to be a 2-stop here. Of course, with Mitchell Marm playing the gamble onto hards and Yasser Lahtinen potentially trying to keep those hards tyres out for quite some time, finished on, well, he has to take a set of softs anyway. So he comes into the pit lane, only a couple of laps after the mediums. Was it worth it, Toby?
Well, yeah, I mean, they didn't really seem to have the pace in the second half of the stint over... Oh, he's gone to softs. He didn't really have the pace over the medium runners in the second half of his hard stint, right? I mean, that was the thing I was looking out for, as the other net wrecks then of Harry Smith boxes as well. They being champions means that they're right at the end of the pit lane. But Vasquez then, the fastest lap of the race, of course, on those softs, and they've done quite well, as the Apex teammates getting in each other's way there. Taras nearly running into the back of Lahtinen as he boxed, and so Lahtinen has actually jumped Taras, presumably due to some squabbling with some of these drivers who are yet to box. So that's interesting, isn't it? As in fact, Marquez then is the only driver yet to pit, I believe, in the top 10, right? So yeah, it's that's not accurate. that's not worked. Whatever that stops graphic was, that's not
Harry
quite
Smith
right.
is definitely pit. I don't know about Robert Moyling though. I think he has.
Merling's not pitted, has he? No, you're absolutely right.
No,
Merling's
he's not effectually in the top 10.
No, but Saracino is right here, and he pitted a couple of laps ago, didn't he? So Saracino then he's 3 laps into this stint, so he is he's gained some time then through the pit stop phase. Because
Martinez then comes into the pit lane on the oldest set of mediums on the track, moves onto the soft. So a similar strategy to Vasquez here. Where will he come out?
Oh, still the engine
struggling for cooling in the pit lane, and we're side by side out of the pit lane.
And out. Yuck, he's blown his engine. Yeah, it's gone.
Engine.
So this is the thing. These drivers who are running the cooling too tight are DNFing. And Marquez is out as a result. And it's so simple to just check whether your engine is going to be cooled well enough. And he has, look, on acceleration, he's coming up to the end of the pit lane, too much revs, and the engine just goes, see you later. Yeah. And it's so frustrating because it's such a simple little thing just to make sure your engine has enough cooling. I don't know.
And it's all the same teams that are struggling with cooling. I mean, I say that as a bit of a generalization, but it is everyone struggling with cooling, but Aaron Vasquez certainly isn't. And look at the gap he's pulled to Mateusz Micah. That is massive on those soft tires, and he's going to continue pushing. And I think Micah is sort of... it might be smarter to be on softs at the end here, I think. Because, you know, you can push towards the end. You don't have to manage the soft tires like you do, and you will have to manage the mediums towards the end of the race as well. So I think for Micah, sitting back here and getting your pace back in the final stint where you'll have a bigger gap to the traffic behind you anyway, so you won't risk being in traffic as much, might be the smarter move. But I think Aaron Vasquez going for softs, controversial.
But what will happen though is that Vasquez will also get an undercut essentially on Micah as well. So when he switches to that final medium stint, he'll have a few laps where he has better tyres than Micah is currently on as well. So he will extend the effective net gap, won't he? So when Micah does go to the softs, he's got all the work to do. So I think Vasquez has played this really, really well, personally. He's managed to come out of the pits from those mediums, come out of the pits on the softs into free air, and that's crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think he's made the most of it, or at least he's made as much advantage as he possibly could have as Harry Smith moves up to 7th. But I want to talk about Oliver Taras, who was in 3rd before the pit stops. He's down in 5th now. Of course, he's on the medium tyres, the same as Mateusz Micah, but the 2 cars ahead of him, Sandeep Singh and Sandeep Singh and Yasir Latanen, both on the soft tyre, but he's managing to stay with them, and I think he's using the slipstream here to sort of leverage this strategy of being on the mediums and try and have that soft stint at the end, and he's using the pace of the soft cars ahead of him to try and keep up with them and stay with them. This could be benefiting him in the long term, because I think if he was on his own in on the mediums, he wouldn't be in as good a position as he is here. So it's definitely a long game, and it's definitely a lot of underlying ideas behind the strategy. Maybe we're completely wrong. Who knows? But it seems like Vasquez at the front, the soft, the soft is working. 3 seconds now. He's pulled out a second in nearly 3 laps on Micah.
I would say, though, those mediums do wear better than the softs. So will the mediums come back towards the second half of even Vasquez's soft stint, potentially, as Pavel Andrzejewski is battling away there with Jan Dragoon, who's now taken him as well. And Andrzejewski was just behind Smith, so Pavel not quite got the pace in this middle part of the race, has he? Like the others have. I wonder if Andrzejewski pitted just a little bit earlier than them. Yeah, I think he did, a couple of laps early. So it's interesting, isn't it? The different strategies, we're going to be talking about this a lot this season, as to where they all shake out. Dragoon dragging that Optiminal back from where it really could have been, which was essentially P3. He's not that far behind Smith. I think he can finish, with a bit of luck, he could finish top 5 actually today, couldn't he? Maybe 6th. So it's not all over for Dragoon. Still some time left.
Yeah, I think Dragoon has done well to recover from that mistake he made. So yeah, he's definitely on the right path. It's whether he's able to use the strategy to his advantage. Of course, he's on the soft tyres right now, but it would appear to me, at least, that he's pushing quite hard as Latanen on the back of Singh. Definitely in DRS range, but is he going to go for an attack? That's the question. As Oliver Taras, we were talking about him a few laps ago, was close to this pack. He's now fallen off a little bit, but he's not fallen off that much, especially when you compare the gap to Micah and Vasquez. It's definitely less than those two drivers. So Taras still could be in a good position, but he is, of course, falling into the reach of Saracino, who is also on the medium tires, but he risks getting in a battle here. And, you know, this is the strategy element of the race. It's less so racing so far. We haven't seen that many bold moves or bold overtakes, but I think this is the management stage and the strategy stage of the race. And when we get to the dying moments is when we'll get to the more beefy, interesting parts
we're
that we all come here for.
We're going to get a crescendo, aren't we, in those last few laps? I can feel it. Luke Mitchell up to P14 and in the points as well from the back of the grid. Shout out to him. And also shout out to De Coitis and Saracino for Sheba on their debut in SL2. And they are both doing a very solid job. Saracino up in P6 is doing a very solid job indeed. This is the train then behind Patrick and Magnussen with Scott Mitchell-Marm in there as well for Kings. And Patrick and Magnussen would have been hoping to be slightly further up the field, I would wager.
Well, given his result of third in the practice, I definitely had, I would say, higher expectations for Magnussen here, but I think he's all right to be in the points. But of course, he's not going to be an easy run for Magnussen here and out. Scott Mitchell-Marm on those hard tyres behind Magnussen is attacking as he looks to the inside. Can't brake late enough to get alongside, and in fact, he's compromised himself. Here comes Robin Moyling through the third to last corner into the penultimate. There's a bit of contact. Mooling on the outside will take 16th from Scott Mitchell-Marm, but Moyling on soft tyres now will put pressure on Magnussen and will gain a bit of time along this straight with the DRS. Pulls alongside into the first corner. Down the inside goes Moyling into the points. And I think he'll have the DRS along this straight as well. But on board with Scott Mitchell-Marm behind Patrick Magnussen into turn 3. He has a look down the inside, but thinks better of it to go for a dive bomb at this point in the race. And it's a bit of a moment for Marm. Well held, but now Maxime Beaulieu right there and ready to take that place.
And
but
smoking.
Maxime struggling with the cooling. I think there's going to be a bit of a trend here.
I think this might be the first and only time we talk about cooling, to be honest with you. I think people will, by the time we get to round 2, have figured out that you need to open everything, make sure it's nice and cool so that you finish the race, as Mitchell-Marm does move ahead of Patrick Magnussen then, and Beaulieu unable to steal that position at the same time, although he does have a run down into the right-hander at the end of the back straight. Can he make a move? No, he thinks better of it. That's interesting from the French-Canadian, and stays there then in 18th place. I should remind you that some of these drivers down here, especially Mitchell and Scott Mitchell-Marm, I think they're probably the only two are trying to one-stop, because those two are on hard, started on mediums, and they could definitely, one-stop to the end. They pitted, 19 laps Mitchell did. Can he do 29 on the hards? I think it's possible. Is it fast enough? That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think Mitchell here has done very well, realistically, to gain those 16 positions. Of course, we have had 10 DNFs so far, which is a crazy thing to say, but those 10 DNFs has put him in a very good position as Magnussen onto the gravel, with Maxime Beaulieu putting out a trail of smoke along this straight now. But I think he's going to try and get past Magnussen. To the outside goes Beaulieu with the help of DRS, and I'd imagine a little bit of the overtake button there. Magnussen struggling quite a bit on these tires, and I think he's overcooked them here, Toby.
He's not been on them for long, I don't think. He pitted on lap 13, didn't he, from the soft? So actually he's been on them for 15 laps, and we did see kind of 18, 19, 20 laps on a set of mediums before. He's going to have to go to the end. He's boxing now, so he's going to have to go to the end on a set of hards, which is one of the strategies I mentioned earlier. Soft, medium, hard is a viable option. A lot of people will try and do something like soft, medium, medium, or medium, soft, medium, which we're seeing at the front. It's all about whether you can get those mediums long enough. But Magnussen goes to a set of hards, actually, by the looks of things, making sure he does get to the end of the race. Here is Lahtinen then up into P3 ahead of Sandeep Singh then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's the move.
And interesting for those two, they're both on softs. So like for like tyres. This is pure pace then from Lahtinen. And they both run out of the same group. So they will have shared at least some tech data, I would assume. They're both kind of part of the same crew. And indeed, Singh did not make that difficult for Lahtinen, did he?
No, but I also think that's more of a racing choice more than a team relation choice. I think for Singh, it's smarter not to battle here. And at the end of the soft stint, I would imagine, because we've been on these softs for what? At least 10 laps now. Yes, 10 laps exactly for Singh and 9 laps for Lahtinen. So it's right towards the end of where these softs are sort of effective. But I think Lahtinen's managed to keep his softs alive a bit longer, and he's managed it a bit better than he did with the hards. But Singh, with the DRS, is able to stay sort of nearby, I thought, but he's not. He's actually falling back along the straight, so I don't think Singh's actually managing his tyres as well as he would have hoped to. But Lahtinen does also have a much higher top speed than Singh has had, about 20 kilometers through the speed trap, wherever that would be.
I think that just highlights that Singh hasn't been in DRS once this race, really. He was on his own in the first stint, wasn't he? And potentially hasn't had DRS in this second stint. I don't think he has. And he hasn't got it now. He's outside of the 7/10ths, look. So, but Lahtinen very soon will be right up there with Micah, who has dropped back almost 6 seconds now from the lead of the race, and has no answer for Vasquez. They both just crossed the line. 23.4 for Aaron Vasquez in the lead, and Mateusz Micah at 23.7. So 0.3 the difference. I'm not going to look too closely into Lahtinen's lap time, because obviously it was the lap before, wasn't it, that he made the overtake. So it does matter. 22.9 for him. So 0.8 quicker than Micah. Well, but now he's in that zone between 0.7 and a second where you have the dirty air, but you don't have the DRS.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Toby. For Vasquez, it seems like the tyres are starting to fall off now. 11 laps on the soft tyre. And his lap times are starting to decrease, but not as much. He's been consistently at 22.9 for the last couple of laps, and this is exactly where Lahtinen is now, at 22.9. So the soft tyres are proving effective, but I think they're just at the end of their operational life here. I'd be expecting Vasquez to be pulling into the pit lane in maybe next lap or just in a couple of laps' time, but he has built up a large gap to Mateusz Micah. Lahtinen with a slight touch of the wall in the DRS range now of Mateusz Micah. Half a second, but I think Micah in that medium, at that mid part of that straight, was using a bit of the deployment to try and stay ahead of Lahtinen here. And the DRS proving very effective. Look at how much space he's gained on Micah there through that straight, and he's now 0.3 behind. And I think there could be a move coming here for second, but he is struggling a little bit with rear grip through the traction zones, and I think he'll demonstrate that here as Micah a little bit earlier braking than Lahtinen. I think he's in the management stage here. I can't imagine this will be too difficult of an overtake for Lahtinen as he enters the DRS zone. A little bit of deployment to the outside goes Lahtinen and flies straight past Micah. And I think that's a wise choice to just let him go and let him chase the leader and wait for the pit stops to come, as Micah will have a couple laps where he can try and pick up some seconds in the clean air where there's nobody ahead of him, as Vasquez will come out on new mediums along with Lahtinen, who will possibly come out on new mediums or another set of softs. Who knows?
Well, there's not many laps left, is there? There's 17 laps to go. We know that mediums will do that easily. It's how long the softs will go at this stage of the race, and Micah has to go to softs. That's the thing here, isn't it? So Micah has to go to softs. So he, Latin boxes. Now he could go mediums to the end. He could match Micah. He could try to extend this stint and match Micah and go to a set of softs as Dragoon comes in to get rid of his softs. Be interested to see how many laps Dragoon managed, because he's quite a fairly decent yardstick, if you like, for how long the tyres could have gone. He's gone back to a set of mediums now. So let's have a little look at Dragoon. So Dragoon managed to do 14 laps on those soft tyres. So expect to see Micah come in as Dragoon, also struggling with a bit cooling out of the box. Needs to make sure that that car is nice and cool over the next couple of straights if he wants to finish. But 14 laps Dragoon managed. So expect to see Micah in, I guess, in the next lap or two.
Micah in or Vasquez and Latin in?
Well, Vasquez, Latin, and Micah, they're all due a pit stop, right? I mean, they're all three are on the. Sorry, Micah's on the medium, isn't he? But Vasquez and Latin are definitely on softs.
Yeah.
Will be due shortly. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I misspoke.
I would expect them seeing them in, this lap. I can't see them even extending to next lap, because if you look at Micah, I mean, maybe they will, because they're still gaining time on Micah, but Micah might just be managing his tires and try and start pushing as soon as these two pull into the pit lane. But Lahtinen has actually been able to pull a second from Vasquez with those second one lap newer tires. We cut to Sandeep Singh now on those soft tires on the back of Matusz Micah. I think this is
interesting. Yeah,
but the opportunity here.
Yeah, it is, but the thing is, those softs are clearly really working well today, and Micah's going to have them for that final stint. So I wonder if these other guys, Vasquez especially, could. Oh, this is going to be tight side by side. No, Micah does pull out of that one, and Singh makes his way through then up into third place, and this is kind of on track a podium, isn't it? And it's just how much longer those softs can go. If they can match Micah's final stint and go soft again, then they probably will finish ahead of him second and third, Latin and Singh. It's just whether Micah, if they go medium, can Micah then catch them again on softs? That's the key. It's all about whether Singh and Latin. Well, there we go. So Vasquez will presumably play it safe here and go mediums. He doesn't need to try and get softs to the end, I wouldn't say. But we'll see. In fact, I'm very keen to see what Vasquez does here. Set of mediums. That is logical. I think that's the safe thing to do from there.
Yeah, it's the right decision, really, Toby, as Andrzejewski comes piling behind Vasquez, and I think wants to make the move here. He won't have DRS here, actually, because he wasn't in the detection zone, wasn't close enough, as he loses the back end behind Aaron Vasquez. Fortunately, he has 9 seconds behind him, so not much to worry about there. As Lahtinen pulled a couple of seconds on Vasquez towards the end of that stint. He'll pull another couple of seconds on this lap, I would imagine, as he's coming up towards lap traffic. He's already gone past Daniel Scott in the background. So has Sandeep Singh. I think Micah's just about to go by. But is Lahtinen going to come in this lap? Of course, Lahtinen had a lap newer soft tires, so it would be logical for him to come in now. Or will he try and extend? No, he does come in and will be changing to, I can only imagine, a set of mediums. In comes Sandeep Singh as well, and in comes Matusz Micah. So he's coming in possibly for a set of soft. 14 laps is going to be a bit of a stretch on soft tires, Toby.
It is. He was revving the engine out a little bit as he stopped. Let's see if Singh does the same. No. So you can see Singh is not on the throttle at all, whereas we did see some throttle input. Let's see if that affects the cooling as they exit the pit lane. I don't want to keep talking about it, but these engines are a little bit fragile, aren't they? But yeah, a little bit of smoke there for Micah as he exited the pit lane there. But no, yeah, there's a lot of smoke going on there. It's all about keeping those revs low, isn't it, in the pit lane? Clearly, it's a bit of an issue for these guys. at sunny Melbourne. But Micah does come out then, and he is on the softs as we knew he would be. So can he hunt down? The leader, which is Aaron Vasquez, or no? That's the question, isn't it? I don't think so. But Blattman and Singh certainly have a possibility to do so, going softs at the end.
Yeah, but they're also in the same boat as Micah. You have to remember, doing 2 sets of soft to the end. Clearly, they think they have the endurance. 13 laps as Oliver Taras, the temporary leader of this race, pulls into the pit lane. I expect him to come out just behind Mateusz Micah, of course, on a lap newer set of softs, so he'll have the advantage towards the end, as it seems like for just about everyone, it's going to be a soft stop for the end. But I think the focus now needs to be on Scott Mitchell-Malm, who has stayed on those hard tyres, and I can see him staying on those hard tyres foreseeably, as Luke Mitchell as well in 11th has stayed on hard tyres. So
Micah did get him. Yeah. Sorry, Micah did get Taras then, by the way. I just wanted to clear that. No, sorry, finish what you're saying.
I forgot now, so...
Sorry. Hards to the end for Mitchell's. That's what you were saying.
That's exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be hards to the end for Mitchell, but it's also going to be hard to the end for the Mitchells, as they have been surrounded by drivers on much newer tyres.
Yeah, and I think Luke Mitchell, it hasn't quite worked. He hasn't quite had the pace on the hards that he would have liked, I think. Because he was, at one point, I was kind of tracking him for potentially even top 10. But still, he's got 10-second gap to De Koitis with 12 to go. It's whether De Koitis can catch that up. If so, he will drag Polentz along with him. But I don't see it. I think Luke Mitchell might well have secured some decent points in the opening round for Kings from the back of the grid. And it'd be nice to see both of them finish, because Scott Mitchell-Malm had a lot of poor opening laps last season, and it'd be good for the pair of them to get some points at the opening round. And there's plenty of space behind Mitchell-Malm to Federico Russo. So I think it's eminently possible, as Pascal Polentz then P13, and he, I think, has just recently made his final stop, and he has 2 laps ago to go to the softs to the end. So but interesting to see all 3 tyres used. Dragoon on the mediums look as alongside Vasquez. They both went for that medium final stint. Let's see if Vasquez has enough pace to hold off the soft chargers.
Well, on those medium tyres, and pretty much for 6 cars behind him, all on the soft tyres, he has that 5-second advantage, and Larson hasn't really ate into that much in the last couple of laps. He's maybe took a couple quarters of a second off, and that's ideally he needs to be doing a couple, maybe half a second each lap to try and eat down that advantage. I mean, definitely now he needs to be taking half a second each lap. And he just hasn't been able to do that. 3 attempts on the previous occasion. And there's Lartinen in the background. 4.4 as they will cross the line. So, yeah, Lartinen, I think, needs to pull the pace out, whereas Vasquez just has to maintain it. He's got 10 laps on some easily maintainable tyres, the mediums, whereas Lartinen's going to struggle towards the end, taking the soft tyres further than anyone else has taken them so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Taras is very, very close to Mateusz Micah for P4, which is interesting because Taras obviously came out behind Micah and pitted just that 1 lap later. So I'll be interested to see the Taras-Micah battle as it heats up. And there's that's the closest battle on track as we speak, as Lahtinen is definitely closing just a little fraction. But Taras is very, very close to Micah. Then side by side they go towards the fast 9-10 chicane, and Micah made that quite easy, I think. Again, for Taras, is playing the long game. He knows it's a long championship. P5 is a decent result, but it could have been so much more for Mateusz. He was on the front row at the start, well, obviously pole position, and very, very close to Vasquez throughout that first stint, and then has just fallen back through that second stint. When Vasquez put the softs on, it was sort of almost game over from there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, Vasquez has played this absolutely perfectly. I was skeptical, Toby, but he's proven me wrong and he's proven you right. And Lahtinen, well, he is eating into the gap, but definitely nowhere near as much as he would like to have been. And, well, Micah as well, struggling on the 2 medium strategy, now down to 5th. Like you said, not the perfect result for Micah, especially starting from 2nd. It's not where he's going to want to be. It's not the greatest start to the season, but of course he still can get past Oliver Taras here. So, anything can happen. Oliver Taras as well, not having the greatest of races. I think both of these drivers have struggled with strategy as we have 9 laps to go.
I mean, you say that Taras and Lahtinen both in Formula Sprint 1 last season. It's a big step up to come up to Superlights, isn't it? And they both holding their own for Apex. I think it massively helps being part of the Netrex sort of crew to have that sort of setup knowledge and being part of the same sort of wider group as the champions massively contributes, doesn't it? But nevertheless, he could have had, I agree with you, he could have done so much more as Micah runs wide, and I think that might be enough to take him outside of DRS. He still has it as a result of the previous detection point, but it's now 9/10 the gap.
Yeah, it certainly seems like DRS isn't as powerful as it was in previous seasons. I mean, DRS could get you from a second to maybe half a second behind. Now it's, it barely does anything if you're outside of the major slipstream. It's more of a supplement more than anything, as Lahtinen is actually closing that gap a lot more than I gave him credit for in previous laps. He has 8 laps to gain 3 seconds on Aaron Vasquez. 8 laps to gain those 3 seconds, make a move, and then take the lead and maintain that lead, which won't be an easy feat by any means, by any way you twist it. Lahtinen has got his work cut out for him.
The thing is that Vasquez, as this stint goes on, will comparatively to Lahtinen have better and better tyres. Those mediums last longer. They last longer and they have better pace as a result towards the final part of the stint. So, Lahtinen needs to eat this gap up as quickly as he can and make the move for track position as soon as possible before his tyres degrade compared to Vasquez, who is clearly driving the wheels off that optimal, trying to stay in first place. But Lahtinen is now 2.6 back, and it was just a couple of laps ago it was 4.2. He is closing at a huge rate of knots. It's interesting. I'd love to know how much battery the pair of them have left, because if I was Lahtinen, I'd be using as much as I possibly can to try to get within that DRS as soon as possible.
Go. That's how much battery
we have. Oh, beautiful. Look at this little graph. Is this live? Or is this taking a snapshot? Yeah, it's live. Look at this battery life. I didn't know we had that. Well, there we go. You learned something new. 18% then. So everyone's run it very, very low, haven't they?
Yeah, but, dying stages, to have 10% is still, exactly where you want it to be.
No, you know what this is? This will be fuel load.
Well...
Because it doesn't recharge, look, so that's what that is.
That's we got lied to by Fabian.
Well done, Fabian. But I've just realised it's not recharging.
Oh, you moron.
We move on. Yeah, this is fuel, you dummies. It says in YouTube chat, Jan Grankfist. Well, there we go. Let's forget that moment happened. Vasquez then 2.6 ahead of Lahtinen now, and it has kind of stabilised. 22.3 for Vasquez on the last lap, 22.1 from Lahtinen.
Yeah, but I think Vasquez is starting to push now, and I think he realizes the threat that Lartanen is showing, especially with that 7/10 closure Lartanen got a couple of laps ago now. So I think Aaron Vasquez is starting to realize the threat he has behind him, but also Lartanen, I think, is starting to feel the effects of those soft tires wearing away, and I would imagine this is how the gap might stay for the rest of the race. Of course, he has 6 laps still to find something, but this is around the point where Aaron doesn't have to worry about maintaining those tires anymore. He doesn't have to worry about the life of those tires. He can just drive the wheels off that optimal and fly away into the sunset, or at least that's his plan.
And there we go. That's the first lap where the crossover has happened, and Vasquez is now faster than Lartanen. So it was close, but the 1/10 of a second there gap swung the other way, and Vasquez now looks likely to hold on to that lead. Lartanen gave it a good go, but now is now dropping back slowly as we go through the sector splits. It's now 3 seconds, and I wonder if Lartanen has pushed too hard too early, and now we'll be falling into the clutches potentially of Sandeep Singh. Let's keep an eye on that gap, because that could potentially come down as well. And Micah behind Taras, still there, sitting there in the slipstream. I wonder if he's trying to save his battery for a last couple of laps push. He's certainly saving tyres by doing that.
Yeah, but there is no but there, is there? Micah is in striking distance of Taras within the last couple of laps. 5 laps to go, and to be maintaining this half a second gap, I think he's done something quite smart, which is what we said at the start of the race. He was letting Aaron Vasquez do the work for him, cut a hole in the air, save his tires, save some fuel realistically. And now he's doing the exact same thing with Oliver Taras. He's biding his time a little bit, and I think he's managed to maintain those tires a little bit better than Taras, and he's sitting in that DRS train, and he isn't really closing the gap. So that would indicate to me Micah's not going full pelt down these straights.
No, and you know the other thing as well, we saw that Micah had dropped outside of that DRS range, hadn't he? And now he's back within it, so he must have pushed quite hard, maybe used some extra battery to get back within it, so that he can be right there within striking distance. Look, he's using some battery here between turn 5 and 6 and getting within that 7/10. And the question now I have is Taras going to hold him back on this straight? Because this is probably the closest that Micah's been. I want to go on board, see whether Micah will sweep around the outside on this lap, or if he's going to sit there. No, he sits there again, and he is indeed biding his time, isn't he?
Yeah,
Patience.
and further back. Oh no, what's happened there? Federico Russo and that's Luke Mitchell.
Luke Mitchell.
Both out of this race now. And for Kings Racing, that's become a disaster very quickly as Mulling just quickly passed Scott Mitchell, Mom. But that's going to be another 2 retirements here, as I don't know what Luke Mitchell is trying to do. He doesn't have a wheel. So
that's not repairable. Oh no, what's going on? Russo's behind here. Some absolute nonsense has happened down here, is it? Let's have a look. Russo on the outside then, Mitchell on the inside, and I think...
What?
Oh wow, why did the engine just die?
I think...
Mitchell, I think, understeered into him. I think Mitchell understeered into him here. Yep.
Yeah, well, he lost
the rear.
That's our factor then.
And then just the way the wheels interlocked just exploded the 2 cars. Look, it's almost like the Russo's car sort of jumped back and into Mitchell's, because that wasn't heavy enough contact to cause that. But still, Mitchell's fault, unfortunately. Yeah. And Mitchell is DNF'd. What a shame.
It's such a strange incident there. Especially for Russo's engine to blow up like it did, as Fabrizio Gobbi and Jan Dragoon are battling away in the dying stages of this race. And Micah further ahead, 3 tenths behind Taras. He's biding his time for a last-minute move to get past and gain a couple more points, getting past that Apex GP car. And well, I think that's going to be the story for anyone that's close behind another car, is just stay there and make a move at the last second. As Oliver Taras,
he's made it.
Does get past by Micah, but onto the straight here. Micah has DRS, Taras has slipstream and a bit of battery to the outside in turn 3. Micah on the inside stays ahead, later braking, but Taras does have a couple laps and a couple of straights ahead of him, but he's struggling to keep that rear in line. He's struggling with the traction.
I think Taras might try and get him back here, down the back straight. Let's have a look.
Yeah, well, he's barely having a DRS.
Well, Micah's come there. Something's happened on the YouTube because the comments are coming up about what was that. So I'm gonna have to watch that back and find out what noise happened. But Taras is definitely in there with a shout of getting Micah back. I can't concentrate because the YouTube chat. But here we go down the pit straight for the penultimate time. Then it's 2 laps to go from here. Can Taras get Micah back?
Yeah,
Alex.
I think he can, Toby. I think he can get a move going at some point. Of course, this is where he was struggling with traction last time around. He's done a bit better there on the curb.
I just watched it back. It's like someone pressed the DJ button on your mic.
Get a grip, Toby. Get a grip. It's the penultimate lap, Toby. Get a grip.
Oh, that was good.
Right. Here comes Oliver Taras then in the slipstream, in the DRS, into the chicane. Not close enough on this occasion to make anything happen into the next DRS zone. I don't even know if we use the DRS zone. Yes, we do. Look at the gap closing between Taras and Micah. I think there was a bit of battery involved there as well. But Taras right on the back of Micah as we head onto the final lap then, as Aaron Vasquez will be crossing the line as the leader, 3.2 seconds ahead of Yasser Latanen. But onto the main straight we go with Mateusz Micah and Oliver Taras. Taras with the slipstream into turn 1, not close enough, but will he set himself up nicely for the next straight? Let's see. I think he might just be close enough, but deployment will be going all out here. Let's see. Into turn 3. Will he go for the move? No. He's
going to wait. He's going to wait for that back straight, and it's all going to be down to battery and how much each one of these guys has. This is the closest battle on track. We'll stick with this for now, but we do know that Vasquez probably is going to win this race. Taras, I think, is waiting specifically for this straight. How much battery does Micah have to deploy? How much battery does Taras have to deploy? He's going to be right there in the slipstream. He's going to have DRS as we head towards the flat out, very fast chicane. Through the left-hander then we go towards the chicane. He's so close. Not close enough to do it before the chicane, but there's a double DRS zone here. He's got another dose of it here. As we come down towards the right-hander, is he close enough? Will he make a dive? No, he doesn't. Micah holds on. Vasquez is round in the final couple of corners now then and crosses the line. And Aaron Vasquez for Optimal takes his victory. The first of the season, the first for Optimal this year in 2026 in Superlights. What a drive. Yasser Latanen taking P2 from Sandeep Singh. But behind them then, Micah versus Taras comes out on top for the pole. And Mateusz Micah takes 4th place on debut for Hyperion.
Yeah, and Taras, unfortunately, he played it almost perfectly. If he just started a lap earlier, what happened there? Who knows? But if he'd started that attack a lap earlier, potentially it could have gone very, very differently for Mateusz Micah. He might have been 5th, but for Aaron Vasquez, 2 for 2, Toby.
Yeah, well,
were correct.
Yeah, I think they were fairly safe predictions.
No.
They weren't exactly left field.
What? No, they were completely out of there.
But I mean, it was a really good drive, wasn't it? In the end, from Aaron, he got it
pretty much spot on. Even his start was good. He nearly had P2 as we went through turn 2, and then of course ended up taking that lead from Micah
just a couple of laps into the race, and from there it was difficult to see anyone else winning.
Yeah, he took the opportunity he had and he ran with it, and I think it's played perfectly as we see Aaron Vasquez does take victory in the first event of the 2026 Superlights season, followed by Yase Latanen and Sandeep Singh for the podium. Mateusz Micah then 4th, with Oliver Taras 5th, a close battle to the end. Giuseppe Saracino 6th, with Harry Smith finishing 7th. Fabrizio Gobi 8th, Jan Dragoon 9th, and Paweł Andrzejewski rounding out the top 10 with Lorenzo Di... What was it? Choitis was how you're supposed to say it?
Chutis, apparently, is how you're supposed to say it.
Allegedly. Finished 11th with Pascal Polenz behind him 12th. Robin Moiling will finish 13th for Team Rookie Monsters, with Scott Mitchell-Marb, the hard gamble, getting him a couple of points in the end in 14th. Maxime Bolio then rounds out the point finishers 15th. Patrick Magnussen 16th, with Istvan Shingle and Daniel Scott rounding out the finishers. And yeah, there's the engine. And here are our non-finishers then. Luke Mitchell, Federico Russo with some very unfortunate contact. I don't think that should have ended in a DNF for either of them. Jorge Marquinez then 21st. Victor B, Zolt Schux, Michael Falkenhayn, Patrick Hanko, Mirko Lucchini, Peter Knapp, Pablo Serrano, Luis Mesa, and James Knox, all not finishing due to various problems, either a DNF or... Do you want to type any louder, Toby?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Or reliability,
I normally mute my mic.
Yeah, we had 3 retirements due to engine issues, which
it
wasn't as many
as wasn't as many as I thought it would be. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting,
I get
isn't
that.
it?
Yeah, but certainly, I knew it would be an issue. I didn't think it would be that much of an issue. People running it
Way too tight in the end.
I think that's, like we mentioned in that practice session, it would seem that people haven't done their race simulations. They haven't done the research that's necessary for the longer races. And I think inevitably it's cost them points for a lot of the drivers. It's cost them decent finishes and finishes at all, which are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, to score points, you got to finish, and running it
Too tight is just jeopardizing that. It doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, what a great opener that was, and it's nice to be back commentating, and
it's nice to be talking about something that's nice to watch, wasn't it?
Yeah, and something I want to highlight, that we had at some point during the broadcast 92 concurrent viewers, which is a figure I have yet to see on any of the broadcasts that we've done here in GPVWC, which makes me incredibly excited for the continuity of the season, for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much, everyone,
for watching. Yeah, 100%. I mean, really appreciate it. Really appreciate all the comments on YouTube as well. And I know you guys are here for Superlights, but it's Alex and I do the very, very best we can when we commentate, and to put on a good show for you all, even if Alex's mic goes into alien mode. Sometimes.
Yeah, I've had that problem for a long time, and I just can't be bothered. Yes, I can't be bothered.
I've never noticed it, dude. I mean,
it's
honestly,
never happened in a broadcast before now.
Wow. Well, I mean,
I need a new amplifier.
It was very funny when I watched it back. I should not have watched it back during the race. But I wanted to know what they were all talking about, because they all said... said...
Yes, everyone was laughing. And
I, for one, welcome our robot overlord. Send me over the edge. Anyway,
Sandeep Singh is waiting for an interview. That is what we're doing. So let's drag in our
reigning Formula Sprint 2 champion, Sandeep Singh. Moving up once again back to Superlights. Good opening for you, Sandeep, would you not say?
Yeah, it was solid. It was a solid race. Didn't really nail the quali to what I could potentially have done, but then the first stint was quite bad for some reason. I'm not sure why, but as soon as we put the softs on, it was much better, the car. So that helped a lot.
Yeah, you ran 2 sets of softs during the race.
Was that always the plan, or was that something that came to you during the race?
I preferred the soft tires to the harder tires around here. Just worked better for my driving, I guess. So it was surprising to see people do. Yeah, I saw people do double mediums. I think instead of double softs.
Yeah.
I think I was surprised when I saw Aaron put on another set of mediums at the end. I thought like his stint length was enough to go on the softs at the end, but I guess he was just chilling.
I think probably playing it safe at that point, right? I mean, if your tyres die a couple of laps in the end, you're more likely to make a mistake, aren't you? But for sure, he's going to be difficult to beat this season. And also, not just from yourself at Netrex, but also a great start for Apex as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, not bad. Yasser started on the hard tyres, which probably paid off in the end because he could extend the first stint a little bit more to have always a little bit more of an offset in the compounds. In tyre wear to us. But even then, in the middle stint, I was surprised. Like I think I did 16 laps. I did 60 laps in the middle, and I don't think anyone else would have gone that long on softs, but I managed to make it work. But
yeah,
just off topic, I think the change that we made to the rule about the tyres, I think it's paid off pretty well. We saw a lot of variety of strategy today, so hopefully it's the same for Super League.
It was definitely a mix, wasn't it, Alex? I don't know if we could
predict it, how different the strategies would end up being.
No, we thought it was going to be a very, very linear race, but it turned out to be quite the opposite in terms of strategy. And from your end, Sunny, was it a plan that you went into the race with? For your strategy, you were going to do this after a couple of laps.
I'll be honest.
Laps,
I've tested every strategy option for this race, and it's funny. Ironically, this was the worst race run I did, which is annoying. But in terms of like what I wanted to do, I didn't really want to. I didn't really want to go on the softs because I felt like it might happen. I'll see how it is on Super League, but I believe like if you start on the softs, you should really be on the front 2 rows. There's no point in starting in the middle or like I'll say 6th below on softs. So for me, when I was qualified 6th, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start on the mediums, and I was debating whether to go on the hards or not, but I changed my mind. I stuck with the mediums, and then, like I said, the first stint wasn't that great. I don't know what was going on there. I felt like I'd understeer and oversteer at the same time. Like it was oversteering at the lowest speed, and then when I was getting to the chicane, it just wasn't really biting with the track for some reason. I'm not sure why, but like when I put on the softs in middle stint and just changed my front wing and a couple other little things I'm able to do, the car felt a lot better. We managed to catch up to Micah, which I was surprised his pace dropped off. I'm not sure if he had damage or something. That was because he drove up at the beginning from us, and then I think the gap was about 7 seconds at one point, and it was surprising that we just caught him up in the middle stint by him having the medium tire.
The mediums, and I think I think he was kind of being pulled along in the first stint, so that's.
I mean, we'll ask Aaron momentarily, but just real quickly, Sandeep. There's some other people waiting, but obviously the next round comes just 2 weeks time. Podium the first round. Do you feel like you can improve on that next time out?
Yeah, I mean it is Suzuka. It's one of the strongest tracks I have on my record around there. So I really hope to win that race. I'll be testing quite a bit for that, but I'm going to have a little break for a couple of days because I've been flat out the last 2 weeks trying to get a car to work for me because I was keeping it to myself, but when I was in the Paul Ricard test, I was struggling a little bit with the car, but like we made a lot of progress the last 2 weeks. We found a setup base to work with, and also from making changes to the setup, we understand what it would do to either improve the performance or help us. So that's why I'm a lot more confident than I was 2 weeks ago. But let's see. Aaron looks bloody quick though.
Yes.
I shouldn't be surprised though, should I? I mean, they even care already. You know what? I'm keeping no time. Yeah, I see a couple of guys interviewing. Just hold Aaron for like a minute. Let me just say congrats to him when he's then drag him
Hold
in.
Aaron. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
I'll drag him in myself. Don't worry. All right, I'll be back.
Okay, bye.
All right. Yep.
Well, we'll just twiddle our thumbs then, shall we?
Yeah, we'll sit here and sort of talk about how that race went, shall we? What a
sorry.
race that was, Toby.
Let's just wait for. So Aaron obviously will come in momentarily. Hopefully, Sandeep does like a bit of a waffle sometimes. But let's see. Well, do you know what? Give me 2 seconds.
This is a very long well done.
Yeah, it doesn't. Well done, drag. There you go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's enough.
Aaron, congratulations, mate, and well done on
winning your first Superlights race.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it was actually quite amazing.
How do you think? Like, obviously the race went for you. The first stint must have been you know obviously not quite getting the pole position, but coming from third on the grid and almost getting almost getting up to the lead straight away. You took Micah after a few laps, didn't you? It was kind of a really good start for you.
Yeah, I was actually really like scared the first start because I didn't expect the guy in front of me gonna brake so earlier. So I braked so late that I could even go for the move in the 1 and 2. And then it was like quite a tough battle until I get into the straight because we get in a contact, I think. So yeah, it was so scary in the start, but at the end we passed and we survived the first lap. That was the important thing usually in this type of races. And then yeah, my idea was basically just try to go as long as possible I could go with the C4 basically. So yeah, at the end I could pass as well Mateus. That was my idea because with DRTR was actually a little bit bad for me with the setup I have. So my idea was basically just overtake and just go in P1 with no DRTR, and that's what I did basically. And then yeah, I couldn't save too much tires at the end because I tried to pull away and get out him in the DRS zone, so I couldn't. So at the end my strategy was not going really well at the first part, but I could save it pretty well at the end because I could pit in the lap 18. So yeah, that was basically my idea. But yeah, after that I just put like I think softs because I didn't want to put softs in the last part of the race because I was a little bit scared because I didn't practice that at all. So I was like deciding to put in the second part. Then with the C5, well, with the soft basically, I didn't expect to go like really longer. Like I was expecting to pit in the lap 28, 29, to be honest, because when I was practicing, I couldn't go even like 12 laps or 13 more laps. Like I couldn't go longer than that. And I was really surprised the tire what I have in that steam, because when I was in the lap 29, I think I still having 60 or 62. My engineer say, you are crazy. And I say, okay, we can go longer then. But then they say me I could go for soft at the end, but I was not really sure about that because, like I said, I didn't practice going double soft, so I prefer to put the mediums tires. So it's what I did, and I prefer to go a little bit safe at the end. And at the end, I could manage really well the gap I have with the P2. So really happy I could get the win with not maybe the best strategy, because maybe with the soft it could be went better, but at the end I could manage, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I think you managed that really well, and going soft in the middle stint meant that you could gap Micah, who ended up being kind of stuck with other people who were on the softs, and I think that was key to your race actually, was to make that gap and really drive in some clean air and by yourself.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It was my idea always. It was like try to be not dirty air, because it was actually pretty bad for me for the tires, especially with the fronts. I was struggling a little bit, so I don't like to have like really understeer setups. I like to have like oversteer. So In the moment I
Yeah.
was in the practice, like practicing dirty air and too much time behind someone, I was like struggling a little bit with the froms. So my idea always wanted to be like in not dirty air. So that's why I decided to go C5 or soft tires in the second part to don't get like overtake and just go for not dirty air. So it was working really well. So I'm really happy about that. I think it was the weight and the good strategy at the end.
Yeah, and you won by 3 seconds in the end. It looked like it might be a lot more after the first stint, but in the end, a win is a win, isn't it? And I know you were kind of hoping for this before the race started, but it's nice to actually do it, isn't it?
And of course, it's a long season. This is round 1 of 16, so you've got a lot more races to come. And it's super early, but
Do you feel confident that you can continue this moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, the first feeling, like, it was really great with the car. Like, I feeling really, really fast with the car. Like, I'm feeling pretty confident. Also, like, I practiced a lot for the first rounds. I don't know how much hours, but it was quite a lot. I think even in iRacing, I'm not practicing this type of hours, but yeah, I practiced a lot. So, because last year, like, I didn't finish a single race with the Super League cars, so I was actually like, okay, this year you need to train a little bit more, just prepare more the races and be confident, because this year I wanted to take it serious, basically, not like the last year. So yeah, my idea was basically just finish the races, whatever, if I finish P1 or not, because just finishing top 3, I think you can win the championship anyways. You don't need to win all the races, and not even win a race, it's you can win the championship. So yeah, it was actually quite good, the preparation and everything, and I think in the future, I think we can go like with this type of pace and still like going forward. So I hope it comes, like, I hope it will be like this. So let's see what happens.
yeah, well done today, Aaron. Do you have any questions for Aaron? Alex?
Well, we had 3 DNFs because of the cooling. Are you having any issues with cooling? Were you testing for that?
Yeah, no, I didn't have any issues, but I was scared because yesterday I realized that it was affecting as well to the Superlights, to be honest. I didn't have any idea. So yesterday someone explained me how it works, and I was a little bit scared, but in practice, like, I was practicing most of the time in not dirty air, like I say. I couldn't like test too much the car and the settings for the cooling, so yeah, I didn't have any problem because I was with no dirty air. But in my setup, I think if I will be in a lot of dirty air, probably I could have problems, probably. But yeah, I think it will be fine. But yeah, probably I could have problems with the setup I have. But yeah, in my race I didn't have any problems because I was not in dirty air. But I saw so much people with smoke in the car, and I was a little bit surprised and scared a little bit. But yeah, it was fine for me.
In the end.
Yeah,
well done.
yeah.
Well done, mate. Congratulations, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you a few times this season, let's say.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron.
I hope. Thank you, guys. You.
Last one then, Alex, and then we'll go. Matusz or Pavel?
Matusz. You have to.
Okay, here he is. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, guys. Feels good. I'm sweat, really sweat. Kiki, rara.
Did you have a nice time?
It was quite nice time in quali, but in race, I must admit it was hard. Like from the start. The pace of the top 10 grid was ridiculous. Like the start went well, then Aaron catched me. It was planned for me to let him go and stay in DRS, save the tires and battery. But yeah, he was pushing like hell. He was trying to run off the DRS like 4 times in the first stint, and I was trying to stay in that DRS, and I was able to, but I ran off the energy. And yeah, after the second stint, we were too low with engine cooling, so my engine went smoking. and it was very close to catch the fire. So yeah, outlap was
Okay.
very slow, and yeah, the second stint was good with the mediums. The pace
Mhm.
was good, but I think we were not expecting, like in Hyperion, that the two stint softs will work there. I think when we were practicing before the race on our private server, the surface temperature and grip was a little bit different, and the tires were working a little bit different. So maybe this was the point where we a little bit fucked up. But yeah, overall, I must admit, Aaron did a great job. The Netrex group did a very good job. I'm very happy that I was able to overtake the Oliver and keep him behind. Like it's a small trophy for me because the
Yes.
Latinen and Sandeep was too faster to me. A little bit some mistakes, like in the pits. I overshot the pit box. So okay, I will let you ask the question because I see you want us to ask for something. Sorry.
No. I mean, yeah. Obviously, these small little errors they add up to overall time. But I think in the end, P4 was probably a fair result for you. Nevertheless, you must be pretty pleased with how the season started. Obviously, for yourself and Pavo, it's a big step up from FS1.
No, I'm not pleased. Like I think
No.
I'm not happy with that result. I think the goal today was to be, of course, behind Aaron, because I think I will not be able to catch his pace because he's incredible fast. We were practicing together, and yeah, I saw that he's like an alien driver. But yeah, the goal today for me was to finish the race in P2, and it went bad. I did a couple of mistakes. I didn't manage the tires well, so yeah, I'm not happy at all for the results. The race was quite nice, so yeah, some lessons to learn from today. And yeah, head up and keep pushing.
Yeah, head up, exactly right. Well, I think you definitely showed that you belong in Superlights. You obviously had that podium last season. Alex, do you have a final question for Matusz before we shoot?
I think Fabian will destruct if I ask another. So no, I think it's safe not to.
Fair enough. Well, congratulations anyway. On performing well. I think there's more to come for you this season, for sure. But thank you for taking the time to talk to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey.
Right, that was Matusz, Micah. I think we'll leave it there for interviews. Thank you for everyone to joining us, and a huge thank you to Fabian Jungbluth, who has yet again chosen to put up with myself and Alex. I know. I'm sorry, but thank you, Fabian. He's always here in our ear and helping us throughout the race, and does a great job on cameras. Final word from you then, Alex.
Well, race, cars, engines, cooling, yes. Well, yeah. What can I say? Thanks for the watching numbers, the viewing numbers, I should say. Thanks for your ongoing support in the YouTube chat, everyone. Thanks for watching Superlights, and what a great race we had there. Eventful, plenty of strategy. I think that sums it up incredibly well there.
Yeah, I think it was a really good watch. And thank you everyone for tuning in and watching as well. We really appreciate your support. And we'll catch you next time. Please remember that there's Super League on Thursday. Tune in for that. And we will catch you. Myself and Alex will catch you in 2 weeks' time, where we will be in Japan. Well, virtually. But until
Who
then,
knows?
goodbye everyone, and thanks
Bye.
for watching.